We're back on Timeless Performers, and he really is a timeless performer because he started out at the age of probably 3, but 10, with his own entrepreneurial business. And today he's a very successful entrepreneur, mentor, guide, speaker, former actor. I can't even think of it all. You weren't a brain surgeon, thank God for that, right?
No, but I could do it.
You could probably do it.
I watched my father do many of them.
Really?
In fact, yeah, he would invite me when I was a teenager. I'd stand right there. The brain would be opened up, and I got to where it became so normal. I could eat my lunch, and right there, and it didn't bother me. So,
Right.
but I've watched him do hematoma removals, which, for those of you at home, this is when people, they bang their head, they'll get a blood clot right underneath the skull. And you literally go in and you carve out a small piece of the skull, and you get in there and you remove and cauterize with like a cauterizing gun the area that's swollen, and take it out and then close it back up. And not that hard.
Well, see, I'm very familiar with having doctors in the family because my uncle, my cousins, my daughter, my brother, they're all in the medical fields. So it never upset me to watch anything or to do anything about. I even actually at one time wanted to be a nurse, or a doctor. So it didn't, I decided not to do that.
What kind of doctor?
I think I'd like to be a psychiatrist. Actually.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
Could you see that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I played that in a movie.
Oh, did you?
I was a killer psychiatrist, which I loved.
The session will end now.
Well, the one thing that you were talking about prior to the break was sometimes entrepreneurs think too far ahead. Well, it's amazing because a few years ago I was working on a digital project for children, and they were actual digital books. That did voiceovers and everything was on. It was back and forth. The kids they could interact with it.
Sure.
But it was so far ahead of our time that nobody wanted to take the opportunity to run with it. You know what I mean? And I watched it go down the drain.
Sure.
And it was really sad because the people that had invented it, or the entrepreneurs that created it, it was on an iPhone. The original iPhones that first came out.
Right. And
it didn't happen. And today they're in different fields now, but I think you have to look at the marketplace, am I right, and see what's going to happen, ahead of time, to see if there's any interest. What do you think?
Well, the way I approach it, that's
Right.
one way to approach it. The most important way for me is to understand the customer.
Okay.
And what is it that they're looking for? And there's so many different customer groups, so you have to really decide what area do you want to be involved in. And we're largely in the small and medium-sized business arena. And in that arena, there still is a lot of opportunity for many types of things that will improve a businessman or woman's ability to bring in clients.
Example.
Well, someone that has never used the web, for instance, for marketing purposes.
Right.
Or if they have used the web, it hasn't worked well. Okay, so they may have built a website, they may have even advertised with Google AdWords, but no business has come in. They may, they may have never used a website. They may have never done it at all. They may have created a website, they may have gotten it optimized, they may have been marketing it, but they're not leveraging social media as well. So there's so many technological digital platforms to capture awareness from people that are potential targets to spend money with your firm that many business owners have tinkered with a little bit. Some have had good experiences, some haven't, but very few have mastered it. And in almost every niche, there's an opportunity to gain business, significant business, if you do it right. And the reason for that is these platforms like Google and others, they're intent-based. And what that means is people are searching with the intent to look for a service provider.
Okay.
It's just what it is.
But don't you have to use tags and keywords to get to that through Google?
You do want to use tags and keywords, absolutely. And then you can go into other scenarios like social where you can target people based upon the things that they like. So you
Okay.
can get a really good profile of someone based upon what I would call inferential marketing. So they may like dogs, they may like to take walks, they may be interested in the opera, they may also like the beach. And so you've got this unique individual, and so it's finding out what products or services that they would naturally gravitate to. And you know that they're a likely target based upon that profile mix.
Okay, say for instance, let's use me as an example, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You're talking about digital marketing, aren't you?
I'm talking about digital marketing.
Yeah, you're talking about digital marketing, his company. But let's talk about it. How would you take me and put me into digital marketing and increase my business?
Well, what kind of business are you looking to increase?
On my PR and marketing end.
Okay, so you're looking for more public relation clients?
I'm looking for more public relations clients and clients that I can brand, basically.
Okay. And what's your sweet spot of clients? So if you're talking about the type of client that you really look for.
Right now, authors.
And why?
Why? Because I'm working on a project right now called Songs and Stories for Soldiers.
Okay.
Okay, and that takes that person and makes an audio book with them for an MP3 download that we're doing for a 501c3 nonprofit. And
Okay.
so every author that comes into my radio show doesn't get attacked especially, but they become a potential client. A lot of times because what I found about authors, especially first-time authors or independent authors, and as you probably noticed in the world of books today, it's really changed.
Sure, of course.
So you're doing more publishing yourself, or you're not being published by one of the major publishers in New York or Los Angeles or whatever.
Sure.
You still can be successful as an independent author, and that's what I do. That's what I'd like to take. Or, as I told you before, Shark Tank, I'm also working in the product market.
Sure.
So I take a product to market or make that company bigger and better.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back to authors. Why authors? I still don't understand why. Why did you pick that niche? Is it because they have in your mind they have a perceived need for this?
They sure do.
And they have a desire for it.
Right.
But do they have the money for it?
Yes.
That's the question. Because most of them are broke, in my opinion.
Most of the clients that I have.
Am I right? I mean, most of them are not
Yeah,
well
but you
financed.
sift those out.
Okay, so you're
You-
a sifter.
I'm a sifter. You
Okay.
have to look for someone that, most of my authors have another business.
Sure.
And they're political authors, they're nonfiction or whatever, mystery writers, whatever. And they're usually older. They're not usually real young.
Sure.
So they're experienced in their marketplace. They just need to be guided in this other.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to really look at what you're marketing.
Sure.
And I've worked with a lot of people that have no money, so I can't, and people look at PR people and go, "Oh, well, you don't need that. Scratch that." They have a very strange view of what PR people do. For
And
them.
how do you describe PR to people? What do you say?
Well, there's all different types of public relations and marketing, and I'm not a publicist, which is different. I do everything that a publicist doesn't do.
Interesting.
And so I have my own niche. The reason why I picked authors over the years is because I put myself through school in the library. So I love to read. And I can pick a book out like that. And there's usually only maybe 3 to 4 books a year in each genre that really turn me on.
When you say library, because you were a librarian? Or,
No.
I was
just
gonna say that.
I went to school in a private school, and that was part of the way I paid for part of my tuition.
Sure, okay.
So, and then I went to debates, and I mean, it helped me in a lot of different ways. I think you have to, in order to love authors, you have to love to read, and I also was a teacher, so it tends to be something that I gravitate to. I mean, sitting down at the pool today or swimming and then reading. I mean, there's certain authors I love.
Yeah.
So I think you have to like it, and you have to understand authors and where they are
Yeah,
in the spectrum.
of course. Yeah.
Right, and they have no idea, most of them, on how to do it.
No, I would imagine. So what is it that you bring to them?
Actually, I usually brand them to
Okay,
start with.
got it.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Will that help
Please,
you?
yeah.
He had an author that just came to me recently who had a business book that was very successful, who had lived in China for over 25 years and came back to the States and came out with one of his, a brand new novel, and which is very timely in what's happening here in the United States. But the way he was on my radio show, usually they come through my radio show, which
Okay.
makes it easy.
Okay.
And actually, most authors are the brand. Just look at some of the Kathryn Raaker. I mean, you look at some of the people that are
Yeah,
out there
I
that
would
are really
agree.
famous
Yeah.
today. It's because of that. And on that note, we have to take a short break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back with Eric Schiffer, and the CEO of Patriarch Equity and Digital Marketing, which we're talking about, and his new book, Build, coming out in December. We'll be right back.